Before we start, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming and thank the reunion committee and Ann Kaufman, my partner. And all the members of the committee whose names I'm not going to be able to recite right now because my mind is stuck with all these facts. Although names are facts, so I'm not going to dispute that your names aren't real. But I'd like to thank everybody, and everybody for coming. I think we had a great time and surpassed our expectations. And I'd like the thing I was amazed about was that everybody is like talking the whole time, except right now, which I appreciate. And the other thing I appreciated is that when I told the same story to the same person over and over again, they didn't ask me if I'm becoming demented. And I'm sure that didn't happen to anybody else here, right? Like, oh, I told you that story? Oh. I only have 2 stories I can tell. Okay, so we'd like to welcome you to the 35th Reunion Survey in the Carpenter Center. I believe this is actually my first time in this building, as I hadn't been accepted into gas stations. And now even the iconic gas station, which gave the course its name, is gone. It's like a hotel, right? No, there was a real gas station. As those of you who took the course may know, this is the only building in North America designed by Le Corbusier. Does anyone know what his real name? That wasn't his real name. Anyone know what his real name was? Marty.
Fred.
Yeah, it was Charles Edouard Jeanneret Gris. Exactly.
Oh my God.
I think, and North America, exactly. And I don't think I have anything to add now. That
Mark, we're going to make this participatory, are we?
Well, we're letting you participate.
I've heard the same 2 stories all week. Share those stories with the people who haven't heard them.
And I was told that this is also the 50th anniversary, which is why we're holding this here. I made that fun. Okay.
That's why the Carpenters were playing, right?
Well, yeah. You may have heard, contrary to my initial information, it was not named after Karen and Richard Carpenter. Because then it would have been called the Carpenters Center. I forgot about that part. For the visual arts, which would have been very confusing since they weren't visual artists either. It was named after, Marty? Who was it named after?
That's somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. Always the smart guy, huh? You didn't know this one. Alfred St. Vrain Carpenter.
Wow.
Yep.
Mark has been kind enough to let me speak. And I know he's going to give us a little overview in a second, but I wanted to share some observations. Last night, can you hear me all right on this thing? Yeah. Last night, someone came up to me, one guy, and he wanted to make, I think in way of a suggestion rather than a criticism, that perhaps we give an overview, because typically we dive right into the results of the survey. And I thought that was a reasonable request. It brought to mind something I thought about 5 years ago. Some observations I wanted to share then. I didn't feel we had enough data then, and I'm all about the data. and frankly, I just couldn't muster the courage 5 years ago. But with this survey, more data and enormous personal growth over the last 5 years, I'm much more comfortable telling you a hard truth. And before I reveal that, I just want to make sure that you understand it's probably not you. It's probably me. But the sad fact is, it's getting harder and harder to make you sound interesting. I think predictable is not strong enough. I think we can agree that boring may be too harsh. So I think we settle on uninteresting. Now, I'm generalizing. It's a broad brush, I know. and there may be interesting individuals among you. The data does not bear that out. But just listen, year after year, survey after survey, you feel fondly towards Harvard. And Mark's going to get a little bit more into this. You feel smarter than your coworkers. You're making important contributions to society. You have no regrets. The future looks bright. Blah, blah, blah. Your political opinions are more sophisticated than everyone. You're all better off than you were 5 years ago. You're all properly medicated. You don't smoke anything, you don't, well, you sort of, one or two, you snort stuff. You have sex once a week, whether it's called for or not. And your kids speak Russian and Chinese while they play lacrosse. All in all, you are sickeningly happy with your therapist. So, now that I think of it, it probably is you, because I can tell you that Mark and I remain fascinated. And some of you know Mark is a psychiatrist. What you may not know is he is riddled with demons. Which I find fascinating. And it's not to say he doesn't have his lighter side, he does. He likes to call me, he goes through his patient's files with me over the phone. We laugh and laugh. Anybody see Dr. Mark? I know you do. And I, of course, remain an attorney for a large insurance company. Ray sips a lot with it, baby. So anyway, I'll wrap this up by saying, unless I see, I don't know, some capacity for or willingness to change, and maybe forced to look for a younger, slightly taller, blonder class to work. So that's my overview. I hope that's responsive to your request.
Before we dive in, we're pleased to announce that with the recent advances in the science of data mining, we have been able to extract the identity of all the respondents. In collaboration with the Harvard College Fund, we have pioneered a new fundraising initiative, which we have tentatively named Protection. Each classmate will be assigned an advisor from the fund to establish the value of not disclosing certain information to one's spouse, work, or federal authorities. The class of '78 will benefit by receiving a percentage of contributions to help defray reunion costs and to pay for the class committee jet and villa on St. Bart's. Okay, next. Okay, so this is the
only part we prepared.
This is the time to take our pictures. Okay? We didn't have pictures of ourselves, so we thought you would help us out, and we'd like to get them from all angles. Which side do you like, right or left?
I'm like this.
Okay, next. Okay, so prologue. See, I had to look up I didn't take like a lot of hum courses. I had to look up the difference between prologue and introduction. So prologue, I just would like to say that we came here in 1974, and now it's 35 years later. That's the prologue. Okay, introduction. Okay. So, now's the introduction. Quick story to the introduction. So why don't we go on to the next thing? Okay. So, respondents were predominantly male, white, heterosexual, and or equal pairing of Protestants and atheists or agnostics. I don't know what that means.
Hey, Mark, I couldn't help but notice, I think for the second or third survey in a row, we've received no responses at all from our Christian Scientist classmates. And I'm curious, is it part of their belief system that they pray hard enough, maybe God will complete the survey? Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah, that's as good as it gets. scientists out there? I like scientists.
He's just asking a question. He is not trying to insult a religious dogma. Okay, next. Okay, so as I said, most of us are heterosexual, although we have, a good percentage of, I guess a little less than the population. Well, no, close to the population, normal population. Okay, next.
I think you handled that very well.
Okay, I already said this.
Great job.
And we have, there are a few Jewish members of the class. This is like wrong, these data are wrong, Okay, next. All right, okay. And here's how far we've gone in school. Okay, so 12% of us have PhDs, 15.5% have MDs, and there are, I don't know, too many lawyers, 20% are lawyers. This is scary.
How many people responded, Mark, to this?
Oh, responded. Yeah, it's interesting. We only got one response. So Cliff and I sort of extrapolated. But it's been peer reviewed, and Cliff and I, we took time off from work to do this. So, I think it was about 300 responses.
Yeah.
So, and we 299 is about 300. I'm around.
In the past, we had...
Teacher, like everything has to be precise, Unbelievable.
In the past, we had over 440 was typical.
440, yeah.
So,
well,
people are either losing interest or...
well, maybe we're becoming less computer savvy. Okay, so we mostly live in suburbs and we work in the cities. That was a sort of an interesting finding. Okay, next. And this is surprising. Most of us are Who would have thought? Who would have thought that?
Matt, I think we confirmed that the type B correlates with the lower quintile.
Yeah. Well, they're actually type B plus. They're trying to downregulate. They really are type A. So we were able to use this to extrapolate who's lying on the survey. Okay. Now, Cliff, do you want to speak to?
No.
No? Okay.
I think just generally, as I said in my opening remarks, which is about as good as it's going to get.
Like a half hour ago.
We feel fondly toward Harvard and Radcliffe. Now we call it HR. And I think a lot of people feel that it's had a significant effect on the progress of their career. Go right ahead, Ben.
Okay, next. Here's always a good one, right? Now, we also, less than 1% think that they're dumb. Which is good, right? And we were actually surprised that, that only 12% of us thought that we were smarter than our classmates. That's refreshing, isn't it?
I think that 22% were intelligent enough to know that we're less intelligent.
But we wanted to represent all aspects on this panel.
Are there children in the audience?
Change my answer to that.
Well, actually, someone did email, I'm serious, someone emailed us and said that they had answered one of the questions. It's like, what, 300 questions, you want to do it again? And then the other surprising thing, at the end, this is I know we're jumping ahead, but I told Cliff this morning that...
Which is the first time we discussed this.
Well, it's the first time we discussed anything. But we asked a question about what question would you like to put on future surveys? And someone wrote, "Are Cliff and Mark secret lovers?" And we haven't decided yet. Yeah, it's our secret.
I've decided. We just keep on thinking about it.
Okay. So, Cliff, we're talking about.
Oh, yes, we are.
What's a little
What's that one?
regression?
Yes.
Our attitudes about our friends from Harvard.
Yes, they feel somewhat close.
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, but hopefully people have made good friends here this weekend, right? There you go. I mean, you probably know. You see a few of the people that you know, if you recognize them, right? Nobody recognizes each other still.
We'll get to that
New
later.
people, right?
Oh boy.
I recognize Cliff, though. He's the only one.
Okay, go ahead. So 60% rank Harvard Radcliffe at the top or high on the list of life's accomplishments. That's a nice statement, I think. Everybody feels nice about it. Go ahead. We'll never get through this. 64. Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, 64.
64% say Harvard Radcliffe is minor or irrelevant to how they define themselves.
Next.
So this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, everybody wants to come here again.
Yeah, right. Well, you can't get in, but because we have to go back and learn how to play lacrosse and speak Russian and have 5 patents, right? And the other thing we'd be shocked at, the faculty would maybe actually talk to us. You know, I was thinking about, I mean, President Bach was great, but, you know, I was thinking maybe part of the reason it was so great, aside from, you know, his insights about stuff, is, like, I mean, aside from the one person I know who was his advisee, did anyone actually talk to him while, I mean, he was like so beyond what we would ever talk to. You know, and the rest of the faculty, now I was taking a CS50 on edX, not that I sort of took it. And they have, like every week, they let the kids sign up, they take them out to lunch at Fire and Ice, or Fire and Rain, which is it, Fire and Ice? Or, they have lunch with James Taylor, right? It's really good. They have David Nealon and James Taylor, and they have them cook the meat. It's really good. Okay. Next.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Who are the 6%, Mark?
The 6% are the 1%.
Actually, they're PhDs.
No.
Yeah.
No, we'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
See that? What do you call that? That's foreshadowing. That's
It's onomatopoeia. I'm pretty sure.
Well, you know, interestingly, you know what the statistics are of cheating? I was looking at studies about this. A guy did a study in 1964, and he looked at all cheating in 99 colleges. He said the rate of cheating was 75%. Okay? And he was taking all sorts, I mean, not just sort of cheating on tests, but you know, maybe plagiarizing things, not footnoting things, copying homework, all this kind of handing in. I know no one's on this.
Oh, okay, wait a minute.
Handing in the same paper to 2 different classes. Yikes. Now,
What's wrong with that?
that's why I said yikes. I mean, it was my work. I should be able to take classes where I can hand in the same paper. In fact, that's how I chose the classes. I wrote 1 paper before I handed it into every single. So,
Change your answer?
well, I had to, yeah. It's like, you know, where's the picture of the whale, right? Yeah, that's like, I wasn't going to go into the whole long story about the boats class, but, you know, but whatever. Ask Marty what the story is. But the other interesting thing is that when another study was done 30 years later, the rates had increased. Okay, so and that's what, and now it's even worse because kids are taking stuff off the internet. They don't footnote stuff. you know, they get their papers written on the internet. I mean, it's really a huge problem, which I think is going to be a huge problem with the MOOCs too, because you know, you do all this, you do the work, and who knows if anyone's actually doing the work.
Let's go through this survey now.
Okay. Okay, so
My role.
this is the percentage of people who cheated at Harvard, and this is the percentage of people who have had a felony since graduating. So I put scared straight. So actually, it wasn't predictive. Okay. Next. Okay, so here's one of our altruist questions. We donate because we want Harvard to be the greatest academic institution. It has nothing to do with our kids getting in, right? Well,
Apparently not in my case.
right. But 21% of us, so this is actually 1/3 if you sort of do the math, right? Because 39% is NA, that is not applicable, so their kids aren't applying, you don't have kids or whatever. So 1/3 of us who are donating money would decrease our contributions to Harvard. And I think this is a good message for the HAA, right? If you want our dough, accept our kids, okay? Okay. Okay.
Mark, one of the things we didn't mention in a slide on Harvard, and I thought was interesting, was that only 14% of us have spouses or partners who also attended Harvard.
14.
14?
Well, that might, yeah, well, I mean, we're talking about this
Lower
before.
than I
I
would
mean,
have
it's like 50-50 admission now, right? And our day was 3-to-1, male to female, basically, right? It's 1,200 men and 400 women, right? So,
Well, what women they were.
women are. Okay, next. Okay, so we work average work weeks, right? I mean, most of us 41 to 50, but a lot of us are working significantly more than that. And 2% avoid work at all costs, or are maybe working 196 hours a week. Okay, next. How satisfied, this is very long, can you read this? How satisfied are you with the balance you have struck between the desire to pursue a career and commitments to your family, friends, and self? Now these are raw numbers, but you can see that, you know, the majority of us is satisfied with that. And only 13 out of nearly 300 were dissatisfied.
How did that break down by gender?
Well, so
We can get those data, but we didn't do that cross tab. Okay, thank you.
I asked for them. Notice how little talking I'm doing? I asked for a lot of things.
He asked for every cross tab of every question. So.
And I got none. No, that's not true. I got 3. Go ahead, Mark. You're doing great.
Okay, so here we go. In comparison to your, remember we had this one about our classmates. This is in comparison to your coworkers.
Did we thank Julia, by the way?
No, we will. We will.
At the end?
Yeah. Okay. This is what dealing with Cliff is like. I talk. No, let's talk about it later. Okay.
You are not
We're having our
popular,
first
kid.
secret lover spat.
Check your meds, buddy. Come on, get going.
Okay. So yes, we are the late Wobegon class, right? We're all above average.
Only 2% feel less intelligent than their coworkers.
Right. But how does this break down? Next.
And doctors feel, I think, is it doctors?
Oh, we're gonna.
Does this go to 5 o'clock?
Okay. We will break it down soon. I think I put it in the wrong place. I'm not so good with this PowerPoint. That's why I didn't do so well in CS50. PowerPoint, you have to like move the thing up. And
Survey.
it's like
Come back to
you attain the level of
Come back
success.
to me.
So a quarter of us are better than expected, and 31% are about what we expected. And then 14.5% don't really care. Like, we don't even think about it, right? We never look that far ahead. We're in the moment, you know, we're zen. Okay, next. Are you satisfied with the amount of money you earn? 2/3 of us say yes. And not applicable, I'm not sure why they we can speculate. We're having a seminar about, we're speculating about this.
They're
Well,
retired.
trust fund are not working. Okay, next.
All right.
Okay.
Well, before we get to that,
We got
I think 77% chose their line of work in order to help others or to feel personally fulfilled, which I think is very sweet. And probably not true.
Well, it also might speak to what President Bach was saying about, you know, the main issue of coming here was to, or the main goal was to earn a lot of money.
Are you and President Bach secret lovers?
I am. That's why my hair's going gray like him.
Okay.
Okay, so the sweet spot of gross annual personal income, so that doesn't put us quite in the 1%, does it? Well, we did do the cross-check, but it could be people who aren't working, or, yeah. Oh, the color? As you may know, I'm an expert on color. So, no, I have no idea why that was chosen.
Is there a net worth slide?
I think
Yes.
so. Next. Well, gross annual household income, so we're still in the same, yeah. And I think we could be going up to, what's the next slide? This is always a surprise.
There you go.
Here we go, net worth.
All right, Mark, I was shocked when I realized there are only 2 of us with a net worth of 100 million or more. By the way, I'll meet you in that super secret rich place later. The helicopter.
And this is, and we can see the top. This is why Harvard doesn't look forward to having a reunion with us, because we don't have anyone over $1 billion. Okay. Next. Okay, so here we go, net worth by degree. So this is a little difficult. So the bottom is less than $1 million, the red is 1 to 3 million, the gray is 3 to 5, the green is 5 to 25, and the red is greater than 25. Okay? So, and this is MBA, it's obscure here, but so this is not a surprise, right? So the people with the greatest number of people with over $25 million net worth are MBAs. And then ABs, like, why bother, right? 8%, you know? What are we doing wrong? And then, I mean, I think the other, you know, and neither MDs or PhDs or joint professional degrees have anybody worth that kind of money. So I'm going to have to find a different line. I could get rid of my MD and maybe my net worth would go up. I don't know if it works that way.
You'd be more interesting.
Yeah. Maybe sort of a change in career, you could remove your degree. Okay. So, and this is net worth by gender. So we didn't think there was anything significant about this. This is sort of a boring slide. Doesn't strike anybody. Oh, actually, it looks like twice as many females as males are in the lowest group. You know, I'm glad I looked at this. And I'm glad that you people were getting me to relook at this and analyze it more carefully. And none of the women have net worths over $25 million.
Husbands haven't died yet.
What's that?
You didn't hear it?
Okay, good.
Husbands haven't died yet.
We'll kill the husbands. Okay. That's good, I guess. Okay. Next.
Hey, Mark, just one other thing. The responses to the question, have you ever used your sexuality to advance your career? Again, I was shocked that I was one of only 3. Meet you two.
Thank you for that. Okay, so most of us are still liberal. We'll see maybe some trends about that in the future. Next.
Look at this. Everybody's really important.
Well, I think it's, we all feel that we are, but maybe we're not. Who knows?
As an insurance lobbyist, I know I am.
I suppose it depends on how you define society. Right?
That's the broad definition.
That's getting back to the sexuality stuff.
I don't think we need to go there.
Okay, next. Have you ever been sued in your professional capacity? 17%. Yes.
How many break it down by profession?
How many what? Can we split it by like degree or profession? I don't know. Oh my God. This is amazing. It's sort of like you guys clapped and wished and it happened. So no PhDs have been sued. So if you want to, sued, get a PhD. Okay? I think it's a pretty simple thing.
If they ever read any of their books, they might be sued. Right. You'll go to court. No participation.
10 years ago, I came to Law Senior Theater. It was people with legal degrees that had been most sued. So something's happening.
Well, I'm a lawyer and we're getting much more ethical. I mentioned the immense personal growth. The whole occupation.
I think you're right, although we don't have the capacity to sort of do longitudinal stuff, so we don't know if that, we could have a completely different selection. Right, next time.
If we can ever find a data.
We will be, as you meet with your Harvard College Fund advisors, we will be able to track this a little more carefully. And do we mention about inserting the chip? Okay, so doctors are more sued. Okay, so how frequently have you had to compromise your ethical standards in pursuing your career? So most of us haven't had to do that. And it was like one person said often, no one said very often, and only 7% occasionally. So
You asked
this
us
is
to rank our view of our ethical standards.
So she said you asked us to rank our view of our ethical standards. So you're saying there may be some
We have
selection bias. I mean,
standards.
we might not be the best evaluators of our ethical standards. That hasn't occurred to me. We'll try to fool people into really telling the truth the next time. Okay, next. Oh man. So we foreshadowed this before. So 4% of us have committed a felony.
What's a felony?
What's a felony? What's that? Well, that was a trick question
Maybe even the Obama way.
we didn't. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So what's the next slide?
What is it,
So
Mark?
who are committing the felonies? So here's the irony. So the PhDs inoculates you against getting sued while permitting you to commit a lot of felonies.
They make a lot of money doing it.
So and we didn't ask what their PhDs were in, but I'm not sure what.
Safe tracking.
Safe tracking, yeah. Well, or perhaps research fraud, or who knows? Exactly. Well, that's yeah. Exactly. So they're not actually in jail, but they've committed felonies. And then the lawyers, look at that. No doctors have committed felonies. And we get sued all the time. It's not fair. Why are they suing us?
They bury your errors.
Oh, malpractice. Oh, it wasn't okay. Thank you. So most of us are pretty good at keeping our job, right? 76% of us haven't been fired. You want to say anything about this? No?
Congratulations.
Okay. Next. So this, we try to, this is a little complicated. It's cross-tabulation between how often you got fired and how satisfied you were with your pay. So people who were not, on the bottom, they weren't satisfied, they got fired. They haven't been fired, once fired, yes, twice fired, 3 times, and then the yellow is overpaid, matches value, and undervalued. So the people who've been fired twice felt that they were undervalued. Now, I'm not sure, I think that might have anything to do with sort of attitude at work.
It's like a reasonable attitude.
Yeah. Well, we're all underpaid. We're all underpaid. But you can't let them know that you're underpaid because you might get fired. Okay. Next. So this is pretty good. More than half of us are happy or very happy. And if we just look at 75% are even somewhat happy or very happy. So we're well adjusted, as Cook was alluding to in the beginning. Next.
I don't think I said that.
Well, you said we're boring, which I think means well adjusted, right? Or uninterested.
That's a psychiatric thing.
Uninterested. So, and most of us are happy with our careers.
What question are we in?
We're on the question, are you happy with your career?
Do you want to know what slide we're on?
Yeah.
No.
Well, questions actually. There's a question. But you don't have it, so go on.
Yeah. So we're not going to answer that question. Next. So, we mostly feel fulfilled by our work. 67% feel either always or most of the time that, but 3.5% rarely feel fulfilled with our work. So maybe it's time to find a new job, right? You can come talk to me afterwards. I have some ideas. Okay, next. How good are you at what you do? Always one of our favorites. 30% world class or one of America's best. Now, that's pretty unbelievable, huh?
75% are at least terrific.
We are so proud of ourselves.
Hello? Hi, honey, you alright? No, I'm doing the survey thing. The reunion survey. Yeah, I'm at a reunion. And we've been through this. The longer you're out of school, the longer the reunion. They gave me a knapsack. I'll show it to you when I get back. Just a few more days. Thursday. No, they're laughing at Mark. All right. All right, I gotta go. I love you.
That was Twin Weeks, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So he is one of the best in the world. Okay. Now, so now we did it by degree or profession. So isn't it surprising? Doctors, nearly 3/4 of doctors feel that we're more intelligent than our coworkers, who may be doctors. It's possible. And only the PhDs, who are the ones that commit felonies and don't get sued. Of course, it could be the 30%, 37, or the 3% who think that they're, the 58% who are the ones who are getting away with all that stuff.
Mark, when we asked about people's careers and whether they're skyrocketing, progressing, plateauing, declining, we're starting to see some people, I think for the first time, who indicated that their careers are plateauing. It's the highest response. 41% say that their careers are starting to plateau. And in that response, we learned that 2.5% are retired already. So there's really plateau. And only 40% never feel trapped in their career or their job. So there's a little bit of angst out there. Proceed, Mark.
Well, you know, it brings up the whole issue. I mean, the people were talking about before, or sort of alluding to about you know, evaluating our own ethical standards. Did people ever hear the book Nudge by Thaler and Sunstein? Thaler had talked about.
I think we've all read it.
Yeah, of course. It was required for coming to the survey, right? So Thaler did a study of his business school classes, and he asked them where they thought they would be in the grading, and it was a bell-shaped curve, and they all said they'd be in the top 20%. And he speculated that they didn't say the top 10% because they didn't want to seem too greedy about it. You know? But the idea is that we all have inflated views of our, you know, value and talents and stuff like that, except for some of us. Okay, next.
It wasn't such a great recession after all.
So nearly 3/4 of us have recovered so far. Okay, next. So who are we?
20% are part of the 1%.
I know, that doesn't even make sense. How can 20% be the 1%? We were struggling with doing the numbers on that. And I'm not sure, I mean, so 18% are saying that they're dependent on the state for funding.
Some level of government, yes.
Right, okay. And the rest of us are...
Making it on our own, baby.
That's right. Okay, that's good, nearly 2/3. Okay. Now here's the second altruism slide, right? 20% are in the top 1%, but 97% of us say, yeah, we pay the right amount of taxes. That's cool, huh? That'll make you think, huh? Okay, next. Okay, so fortunately, very few of us have went through a foreclosure during the Great Recession. Next. Now we get into some health questions.
This is where I check out.
Yeah.
He's a doctor.
Okay, so 93% of us are in good or excellent health. So this is good. So we know we went to the health panel, right? So we're exercising, we're eating fruits and vegetables, we're not smoking, we're taking care of our blood pressure, and the other 3 things. There were 7. I know there were 7. Flossing. And flossing. I don't think it was actually one of them, but I think that was very important. Okay. Next. And we get a good amount of sleep. I think for our age, what is it, 6 to 8 hours a night is the average amount. So we're right there. And some of us get a little more sleep. Okay, next. Now, I think we're falling a little down on the exercise. Okay? So 1 to 5 hours a week, I mean, it's a start. I suppose if you're doing 5, I mean, the recommendation is what, 30 minutes a day of good exercise? So I think if I do 30 times 7, that would help 3.5, right? Yeah. So that's okay, but I want to see for the next survey, I want to see more people in 6 to 10. And if you're not doing it, I want you to lie. Okay. Because that's what my patients do. It's great. You know? Oh yeah, I have exercise. I went once this week, and I joined the gym. Okay.
We laugh and laugh.
That's right. I call Cliff every night. Okay. So here's a surprise. We've gained weight. Not anybody in here. Okay. In this room. But yeah, I mean, I think what's the average? It's like a pound a year after you're like 22 pounds a year. After what? 25 or
After 21.
after 21? 2 pounds a year. So by this, we are excellent. We should have all gained 70 pounds.
We're 100 years old.
So, okay. Next. And how much alcohol do you drink? So nearly a quarter of us are drinking at least once, you know, on average, 1 drink a night. But 20% of us don't drink at all. That's interesting, no?
Mark, I was shocked. To learn that I was one of the very few number of people who use cocaine on a monthly basis.
Okay. And Willie would be happy, right? We're not. I'm thinking that makes us outliers compared to the general population, right? 97%. That's pretty good. So keep that up. We got to work on these outliers down here at the bottom. Next. And only 4% of them treated for substance abuse issues.
Next.
As we said before, we're generally healthy. Nearly a quarter of us have been treated for a serious medical problem since '78, and currently only less than 7% of us are. So presumably this means that, you know, hopefully we've been successfully treated and we're getting healthier. We're not smoking, we're exercising, we're losing weight, we're flossing. And the other things that we're doing. We're eating fruits and vegetables, we're avoiding simple carbohydrates. I'm remembering them now. Okay. Next. Are you currently being treated for... So there was a little problem with this question because people could have been treated for more than one thing. But you know, this gives you an idea. So it's the common things, right? I mean, cholesterol is pretty common problem, and blood pressure is a common problem. But more than half of us aren't, you know, so either, what does that mean, not being treated, you know? Does that mean that it's not been detected, or, you know, so we're not going to doctors, or we're healthy, right? So I think if you were at the health seminar, if you aren't getting your blood pressure checked, and you aren't checking it, you should, you know, with a physician, you should be doing that now. That's the public service message. I'll try not to be serious again. Okay, next.
How will we tell?
How will we tell what?
When you're being
When I'm being
serious.
serious? Okay. It's the enigma. I'm enigmatic. So, you know, I mean, I think, unfortunately, you know, over 6% of us have frequent regrets about our career, and I suppose those are the same people who are not happy in their career. Probably tracks pretty. I don't think we broke it up, but we can do that. Here's we can do by, yeah, I mean,
No.
what if,
Let's go.
okay.
So here's what it's really hot and I'm getting hungry. You don't want me to be cranky up here. Any crankier than that.
Okay, so this is what Cliff was talking about plateauing, okay? So So the bottom is decline, the middle is plateaued, the top is moving along nicely, and the green at the top is skyrocketing. So not, the lawyers are skyrocketing, which is always problematic, right? Is there a new skyrocketing right now? Afternoon delight skyrocketing tonight? Okay, next.
Come on, man.
Okay. So we did break it out. We did break it out, the satisfaction by degree. And look at that. Doctors are dissatisfied. I don't know why that would be. So, I mean, it's hard to know what the joint professional degrees and masters are. But obviously, doctors are, compensation's going down, and more regulation, and more hours, and all that kind of stuff. Right. So if you want to be happy, just have an AD. Okay? So that's another reason to try to get rid of your MD. Okay. Next. Any regrets about your marriage? 9% frequent regrets. So we're up to so about 35% have occasional regrets. So we can work on that. We can get that better in the 40th, right? Okay, next. So do you feel middle-aged? I guess by 50, 55, 56, whatever we are. I can't remember how old I am anymore anyway. So, yeah, so most of us feel middle-aged. But isn't that nice? 21% of us feel younger. And those are the ones who are exercising. To the having sex part yet. Right? Did we ask that question about having sex?
Yeah, in depth.
I think those in depth. Okay.
Let's get to that.
Next, okay. How often are you in physical pain?
Only 10% say frequently.
Yeah.
I'm
That's pretty
excruciating
good.
right now.
We'll give you a rub down afterwards. So there's a problem with this question, right?
No, there's no problem. That's one I wrote, so there's no problem.
No, the problem being, if you're aware of your mortality, you might not be more aware of your mortality, right? But aside from that,
88% said they're more aware of their mortality
Right.
now that they're 55.
Right. Well, so either 12% or more, or the other people knew that they were going to die at some point. So the rest of us are just getting the news.
And what a wonderful way to deliver it.
So those are probably the ones that think that they're world class. And I'm living forever. Okay, next. So this is interesting, right? We are optimistic about the future.
73% agree that the best is yet to be. Agree with Elizabeth Barrett Brown. You read her, right?
So I did.
Along with that nut guy you were talking about?
So actually, President Bach, in preparation, we read part of his book, The Politics of Happiness, and he was quoting data about this. And
Was that an assignment? I didn't see the syllabus.
well, you read nudge, but you didn't get to the politics of happiness, okay? So I'm giving you other assignments later for the 40th. But anyway, so happiness tends to decline until the 40s, and then it starts picking up. So we're consistent with that, with sort of the population in general. Although we are actually, as we might see, we're actually happier than the population in general. But it starts increasing in the early 40s and going up into the 70s. When then we start making
Can't wait to get to the
medical problems.
Sounds wonderful.
Did you cross-tab this with children leaving home?
We could have crossed out But I mean, I think, I mean, we were talking about, people seem, in comparison to, say, the 25th, we seem to be kind of more relaxed in general, more comfortable with ourselves.
Better looking.
Some of us. But,
Have you met Steve?
but I mean, I think some of the anxieties that we might have had 10 years ago about, our children are older now, they're sort of on their way, they're out of the house, our careers are more established, so I mean, I think these are all, and we sort of don't have to focus on achieving and all this other, well, some of us don't, but, but I think we're just generally more comfortable, and I think that we can...
Next, please.
Okay, next. How often do you feel grown up? I'm trying to have a grown-up conversation with these people, and somebody interrupts me.
I was shocked to learn that I'm among the 2%.
How can you be in the 2% and the 1%?
I wasn't good at math.
Okay, so it's interesting. Less than a third of us always feel grown up, right? So we're still coming into ourselves, but I think most of the time we do. So,
Mark, we skipped one that I thought was interesting, so I'll share it with you now if you don't mind. 36% of us have had a midlife crisis. And we didn't cross that at all, so don't ask. Next.
Next. Okay, so most of us haven't had cosmetic surgery. We didn't ask.
Some of us should
Yeah,
think
we
about
didn't
it.
ask the obvious question. And I think we
This
do
is
have
the back
still
row
here. The Paco's a plastic surgeon, so we can make the referral if we had any second thoughts. You may have had to go back.
Mark, another thing you skipped, which I found very interesting. We didn't coordinate this at all.
Yeah, no, we're coordinating in real time. It's amazing.
78% of us are responsible enough to have drawn up a will, so good job. And if you need any advice on a will, Josh Winnick is right over there. But only 12% of us have arranged to buy a burial plot. So your kids are going to have a problem. Leave them enough money to arrange for the funeral. I learned that the hard way. Thank you, Josh.
That's the group that knows they're gonna die.
Yeah, exactly. Those aren't the world-class people. Okay, next. How do you feel about the changes? So, nearly half of us are bothered by the changes. And then 18% of us are in complete denial. And I hear people say, oh, you haven't changed at all. I'm like, are you blind? I want to get those glasses, the time travel glasses. Oh my God, you look like you did in Dunster House. Yeah.
Mark, please be a little more sensitive to our blind classmates.
Sorry. I don't know what I was doing. Okay, next. Okay, so this is probably going to change as we get older, no?
Unless they die.
But still,
Mine are dead. It's like I didn't care for them one little bit.
but still, nearly a quarter of us. I think that's a pretty significant percentage. Okay, next. Stress. So more than half are either, very high or high. And 2% are world class and living forever, right? Okay, next. So stress by degree. So look at that. The doctors have the highest stress, or the highest perception of stress, right? And the bachelor's degrees, the ones who have over $25 million, less stress. Yeah, but I mean in terms of high stress, I mean the ABs have the least high stress. So, and the bachelors also have the highest low stress. Okay? And by doing the math, they also have the most middle stress. Okay? You guys need help in reading graphs? The p-value is 0.05. Okay, next. For those of you who know what that is. Okay.
You're less smarter than your classmates.
I know some of the letters used in statistics. P and T. Okay. You feel you have control of the things that happen? So most of us feel pretty good control. You know, we're in a place in our lives where we're comfortable. So nearly 3/4 of us, and most of the time we have control. And only 2 people never in control.
I was shocked. Keep going.
Like anything, do you want to complete that thought, or you were just shocked?
Go ahead.
Okay.
My employer teaches us that control is an illusion.
What's that?
My employer teaches us that control is an illusion.
Well, that's good. Maybe you can teach us that. Okay. So what's our best asset? Well, if we're world class, our minds, right?
0 people said my wealth.
Yeah. That's good.
Those are the question the validity of the whole thing.
Well, the interesting thing is that isn't wealth an asset class?
Yeah, but nobody's made $1 billion.
Oh, there you go.
I
Okay.
just didn't answer the survey.
But you know, but more people think their body is their best asset versus their wealth. But that's, I mean, mind and heart and soul are the best, are what we think is the best. And yeah. Most of us can improve our muscle tone. But less than 10% can improve their sexual repertoire. Maybe you can check out YouTube probably.
What's repertoire mean?
Yeah.
Is that like a toy?
I think it comes from the French. Like Le Corbusier. That's why we had to put that in, because we're in a French building. This is actually French territory that we're in right now. We have to be careful what we say.
87% say the future looks good or very bright. Because their finances came back.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this is getting back to the question about happiness, and these are raw data, but you can sort of see what it is.
78% say they're happy or very happy.
Right.
That's depressing.
You think that correlates with insurance? People buying insurance, that they're happy they buy insurance, or they're less happy?
I'm happy they buy insurance.
So you are, right. Okay. Next.
Next now. Now is the happiest period of your life.
Isn't that nice?
Now. Don't you feel happy?
You're happy because you're here, right? This is the best right now. And look at that. I mean, college, 6.5%, huh? Yeah. A little blip. I mean, that's when we're having our kids. I mean, that's the highest period of time when people have children. But now. And this is good because, as I tell my patients, this is the time when we're living. We're not living in the past or the future, right? We're living now. Track of that, right? Okay. Next.
Laugh and laugh. By the way, Mark, before you go on, the unhappiest period of your life seems to have been secondary school, where people know a nerd from a jock. 7% of people say now is the unhappiest part of their life.
So, a little more than half of us have sought psychiatric or psychological counseling. Next. What's that?
There's room for your practice to grow.
Exactly. And, you know, and I think this is, I mean, we didn't you know, the depression is probably the most common. I mean, these are pretty consistent with the demographic data that we have about mental illness. So depression's higher, anxiety, bipolar disorders kind of low. And again, these are raw data, so they're not done by percentages. But I think the lifetime prevalence of depression is like 16%. So this
Mark, at one point you asked people whether they're under certain medications, taking certain medications,
yeah.
and like nobody answered that question.
Well, yeah, it was interesting. I mean, you know, so we didn't. I don't think
They're
we
willing
put
to
this
talk
in the
about their
slide.
sex lives and their money, but not their medical.
Well, but I mean that probably means that most of us aren't taking medications right now, right? So we just
think it's
that in,
nobody's
but-
business. 48% are liberal or left wing, 12% are conservative or right wing, with 8% libertarian. You could lump them in with whomever you want.
I suppose this is another surprise, huh? Are we going on to the next one about who we voted?
71% voted for the president.
Next. So more than 50% of us work for social change. Right. Right. And the rest of us work for social stagnation. So it's all good. We're working for something. Okay, next. So, this is breaking out how much money we give. So see the bottom is how much charitable giving. So over here is over $10,000 a year, and then we stratified it by income. Okay, so the yellow is up to 175,000, the red is 175 to 199, and the brown is over 200,000. It's sort of interesting. I mean, there are two peaks for over 10,000. One is the lower income, and one is the higher income. So. The trigger where you get your taxes audited. Do we have any tax accountants? I have no idea. You get audited at 3,000? Okay. So nobody give more than $3,000. You're going to get audited. I'm just kidding. What is it? $400? Right. Okay. Well, I mean, you could give it to a PAC or something. That would be good.
Next.
Okay, next.
This is a surprise, I think, given how liberal the class generally is. Apparently, demonstrates a certain level of frustration with our elected officials, looking for further turnover. Next. So you can see that the biggest threat is income inequality, followed by terrorism. That speaks volumes. And third is roughly lack of economic growth, national debt, the euro debt, right up there with environmental damage.
Some people think North Korea is the biggest threat. Yikes.
It's the first time that there are no threats.
Right.
No, a little more threatened.
Right. So we're a little more sort of aware that what happens in our world. Okay, next.
Good. I think that Social Security will be around in 10 years, or not at all. So yeah, so there's a little doubt creeping in. Go.
Although within this question, we're not asking Social Security the way it is now. I mean, I suspect people may have thought about, well, maybe it'll change, but it's still going to be available. Right? So that's okay. Next. Obamacare. So more than a third think it's going to be a boom. But most of us think, or the plurality think it's going to be mixed.
Next. President Obama's economic policies are intended to preserve and grow the middle class, followed by redistribute wealth and advance a socialist agenda. And a good number of people just thought it was to advance a corporate agenda. they should check the corporate agenda. President Obama will go down in history. Yes, he will. And most people think he will be a good president. Only time will tell. Go ahead. Okay, so when I drafted this one to update this stupid thing, I thought this would be a good question. So I sent it to Mark, who will be the next president, and I provided one answer.
Oh.
And who was that? Hillary Clinton. Because this, I know our class. Mark wrote me back, shouldn't we give them more choices? I said, what's the point? Governor Patrick, looking pretty good. He's right behind none of the above. And poor Martin O'Malley. Don't do it, Marty. And the biggest Republican vote getter, I think Bush, Jeb, and Chris Christie are neck and neck, or actually right behind, I think they're one vote behind Marco Rubio. No kissing, we're just having fun. Okay, go. Next. Again, I like to do these dichotomy, force people to make a choice. Mark is much nicer, he works with the mentally ill. He wants to cut the baby all the time. Both. It's too easy. So, most people chose, surprisingly, both. Thanks, Mark. Go ahead. Again. Oh, so this is interesting. Only 8% that think we need a larger federal government. And 42% think we need a smaller federal government. And 13% think we need none of the above. I'd like to talk to them further about that. I'm dependent on the government for my job. Go. Less interesting? Go. Everybody thinks their own future is bright and cheery. But America, it's a little cloudy. Did we do crosstabs on parties there?
We might have. I think we might have shown that already.
Go. Oh, this is the part I don't care about. Okay.
Okay, so I think this was addressed some in the faith panel, but so half of us never or hardly ever attend religious services, and just over a quarter of us attend regularly. Next. How important? So, but despite that, despite our lack of attendance, nearly half of us say very important or important for matters of spirituality. Next. How often do you read for pleasure? So this is good. We may want to get it often a little higher, right? So, and I'll recommend that book, Nudge.
Thank you all.
Okay, not that much TV, less than 10 hours a week for most of us. And one person watches more than 40. Who watches more than 40 hours of television?
It's their job.
Yeah, well, that's the only thing I can think of. They're a television critic or something. Yeah. Oh, they would get 40 hours of exercise at the gym. Maybe they're training for the Senior Olympics. Okay, need more of. Most of us need more time. This is probably both maybe a day-to-day issue, and maybe it gets back to that whole mortality issue, huh?
Mark, one other thing I thought was interesting about was whether your standard of living compared to your parents' standard of living. Only 13% claim that their standard of living is worse than their parents.
13.
I'm not repeating it. You have to pay attention, this is moving fast. Except what Mark does. 13% claim that their standard of living is not as high as their parents.
So,
Did you ask about our kids versus us?
yeah,
Yes,
we did.
but we're not going to tell you the
But I
answer.
don't- No, I think, I don't think we have I don't think we put the data up, but I think, yeah, there's some concern about how well our children are gonna do in comparison to us,
Yeah, we'll get to that
maybe.
next week.
Okay, so how many close friends? So, 2 to 5, you know? So, is that normal or not? I don't know, you know, that's probably normal. I mean, in terms of close friends, that's probably about right. You know, because most of us are in relationships and, you know, it's different than when we were in college, right? We probably had a lot more close friends in college, right? Okay, more, yes. Yes, or better than the normal.
Our guy was shocked that I was a part of the 6%.
Not as good as a normal life.
But this is an interesting question in that, you know, I think, objectively speaking, most of us are leading a life that's not particularly normal compared to the rest of
Well, sure.
America. Go.
Okay, next.
I'm going to backtrack a little bit here. When asked a new question, what people thought about today's popular culture, only 13% thought today's culture is better than the culture when we were here at Harvard in the 70s.
Yeah, because they don't have disco. No bump, no hustle.
And 50% think today's culture is worse. So I think there's an element of fuddy-duddiness. Social media, 53% don't use social media. I'm not sure they understand what social media is. And 14% are on Twitter. I don't know what Twitter is. House bars.
Okay, so we're getting to the relationship. Okay, so just go back. Most of us are married right now. Okay, so that's about 2/3 of the respondents are married. Next, why aren't we married? Haven't met the right person. Or bad experiences. And a fifth of us who are not married aren't interested. So, next, what is the state of your relationship? 60%, the greatest are very good. And then 7% troubled or about to end.
And this may relate to that. Only 16% own a gun.
It's a tenuous relationship. It's a relationship there.
And some of the relationships I know about.
Okay.
We're like that by sex.
Okay, next. Which is your partner's best attribute? So we did this about ourselves. So heart and soul and mind. So that accounts for 80%. Only 2% of us, their bodies. Yeah, that's right. That's twice of our best asset. Good point. Next. So which of the following attributes could your partner improve? So we don't have to improve our sexual repertoire, but our partners do. And I think if we combine sexual repertoire and income, that's a quarter of the class, right? Oh, look at that. Over a quarter, nothing to improve. They have the perfect partner. Unbelievable.
I was shocked to learn that I was one of 2 respondents who said my partner's hygiene.
You know,
That's why it's going to be Thursday when
yeah, it's interesting. It's a live streaming and Thea is watching it right now.
Hi, honey, the soap is under the sink.
So again, these are raw data. Have you ever been unfaithful to your partner? So that's a pretty good percentage, right?
You talking to me?
We're still on the scope. Okay, next. Now, so this is a cross-tabulation about how good the relationship is and are you being unfaithful now? Okay? So 12% of us who are having affairs in the relationship's pretty good. It's cool.
Compartmentalization.
Okay for now.
It's called compartmentalization. It works.
I'm doing okay. What the heck? Okay. Next.
Mark, I'm going to interject something here. 44% of us have attended counseling to attempt to salvage a marriage or a relationship.
What percent?
44. That's pretty high, I think. You know, and I've never gone once in any of my 4 marriages. So I'm shocked.
Okay. So as we see, there's a little bit of a shortfall between how we are in our careers and how we are in our relationships. What does that mean? What's more important, your career or your relationship? Just something to think about, right? But, 6% of us think we're one of us. So how do you rate that? I'm one of America's best husbands. Is that like...
There are certifications for that.
I was thinking it'd be like America's best home videos, America's best partners. Okay, next. Look at that Cliff just answered.
Yes.
Look at that. So we
I haven't seen these slides.
44%. We are like a machine. We are a well-coordinated and oiled machine. As I said, we've taken off weeks to prepare for this. Okay, next. How many times have you been divorced? So look at that. 75% of us haven't been divorced. And nearly 22% once. So Cliff is an outlier, having been divorced 4 times. To the same woman, right? You're divorced 3 times to the same woman, right? Okay, next. How many times you have sex?
Mark, I have to say something. Shot. Learn. I'm among the 3. In all seriousness, I used to, we asked this question over the years. Now, it's an anonymous response, right? But you'd come to this reunion and you wonder, like, who are the guys? And I just assume it's guys. I apologize. Who are having sex nonstop. So I would look for the guy who looked really tired and worn out. And you could, narrow it down about 3 or 4 guys. At this reunion, it could be any of you guys. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Cliff. How's your sex life been lately? 11% great. So we got 30% great and good. But another, what would that be, like 38%? Disappointing or lousy?
Yeah, this is troubling to me.
It's troubling. Maybe they should go to some of that psychological counseling. Or sex therapy, right? No? So here we broke down. How good is your sex life by party affiliation? Now, this may be why the Republicans are sort of disappointed about this. Look at that. So 55% of Republicans say their sex life is disappointing or lousy. Okay? So this is part of our recruiting effort. And look at that. Democrats have better sex life than independents.
Join the party.
Okay, next.
Yes, this I think is the first time we've seen such a high number for waning. Waning is
Waning is the opposite of waxing. Remember, you got the waning gibbous and the waxing gibbous. Okay? Does that help?
there's a sexual imagery that goes with waxing.
That's right.
Wax on, wane off. Wax on, wane off. Right.
Okay.
Waning means diminishing.
Right, there you go. Okay, so we alluded to this, so most of us had our first children between the ages of 30 and 34, but some 10% after 40. So, and you know, and we did see some classmates with smaller children here, this reunion. Next. How good a partner are you?
Parent.
Parent, yeah. That's what I meant. But that's, isn't that like an anagram of partner? Almost. Yeah. Wow. It is exactly right. Because it's missing an R, right? Well, you know, I'm trying to think quickly on my feet. Okay. So we're good parents. Nobody says they're a terrible parent, right? Next.
Did we talk about how many sexual partners our classmates have had?
No, we didn't talk about that.
And there are children in the room.
Yeah. That's why we're not talking about
The largest cohort, 49%, have had between 2 and 10 sexual partners. Only 7 people have had over 100 sexual partners.
So that's from.
You guys can do it for me.
That's lifetime data too. That's not like in the past 5 years. We'll ask that. Yeah, this reunion, right?
Last time only one had more.
That's why it's Thursday.
You know what they say? What goes on in Cambridge stays in Cambridge. So we sort of foreshadowed this question too. We shouldn't have the same economic opportunities you had. So nearly half of us say no. You know, I think we've talked to people, you know, talking about the kids who recently graduated who can't find jobs. You know, this is a pernicious problem right now. Next.
What does pernicious mean?
It's a kind of anemia.
Sounds like a rat.
Okay.
Grandchildren.
So look at that. We're getting up there now. 6% of us have grandchildren already. Next. That's it? So I think I was going to go through some of the free responses, but we can put those, you know, because we're sort of talking for a long time here. But okay. So just we don't have all of these because you guys write a lot of stuff. You know? So the heroes were Jesus, Barack Obama, Ronald Reagan, my
Same
wife.
thing.
I don't know how much space you have. It's not the battery, it's the space
William F.
available,
Buckley,
so you
Abraham
might wanna get
Lincoln,
ready.
and Marty Grasso. Seriously.
I didn't fill out the survey.
I know, you didn't fill out the survey.
I was shocked.
The mother of a special needs patient of mine, my husband battling chronic illness and not letting it ruin his life. Captain James T. Kirk. All the people who do the right thing when no one is watching.
My father, followed by Superman. I didn't say that's not my father.
Right.
Ronald Reagan, just for equal time.
Said that before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to do my proudest achievement? Because I think we sort of...
Pat Metheny. Go ahead.
Raising 2 children, helping them overcome their disabilities, having 3 great children, overturning a 15-year conviction for a crime that never happened.
Restructuring local hospital board, taking care of mother in her waning years. A lot of it's about children.
Right.
30 years with the love of my life. That's nice.
Winning an important U.S. Supreme Court case.
Being a mother,
Acts of kindness.
a 20-year cancer survivor,
Opposing torture.
graduating from Harvard College. That's a legitimate thing.
Single father raising my successful daughter.
Starting a nonprofit that supports public parks.
Having made it this far without having to compromise my principles.
Helping to bury communism. Barry spelled wrong. Don't let the commies see that.
Why don't we move on to my wife could be more athletic. My wife.
Not building a good relationship with my stepsister.
Hitting career ceiling. That I met the love of my life when we were both in bad marriages and never had the opportunity to be reunited.
Lack of support and direction during my college years. That could be mine.
Not being quicker and smarter about the death of my ex-husband's midlife crisis.
Death of my spouse.
Not doing more to help my wife find her happiness.
Being such a girl about going after what I wanted.
Somehow, breaking my wife's heart, still not sure how.
Moving to California.
That has taken me so long to understand how to be a real person. Being cynical and bitter when I was younger. Not making a bigger difference in the world.
Not making more friends at Harvard.
Not making the baseball team at Harvard. I didn't
Mark.
make baseball. Yeah, that wasn't mine, but I did. So I'm proud to say.
Not taking more risks earlier in life.
Not making it to the major leagues.
I wonder who that could be.
Time going by too fast. And then we actually wrote that question just to see if someone would do the Sinatra, regrets I've had a few. So someone did write that in, But
My
too few.
husband, my marriage.
Not becoming an artist.
Not buying an A-frame in Tahoe in the 80s.
Okay. So,
Let's go to my relationship with God.
time with my wife,
Drawing.
preparing for barbecue competitions and attending fishing and gun shows.
Trying to do the right thing. That doesn't sound very good.
Gardening,
My partner.
music,
Nature and food.
chocolate,
Living well. Simple things like a cool breeze, sunsets, martini. Oh, God.
and it says, if you
Oral
like
sex.
eating your
Which in my experience is not a simple thing.
moments of intellectual engagement or a close connection with friends.
I'm still stuck on that. This may be related. Playing with my family.
The right blend of love, work, money, and wisdom.
How about my biggest failure in life?
Right.
Survey.
Not recognizing opportunities, a bad first marriage, being a jerk.
Poorly managing my career, hence not positively affecting the world as much as someone with the gifts I was given should have.
Not being a better spouse. Not seizing the day and letting relationships slip away.
My lack of investment acumen.
Letting myself go physically.
Didn't see this ageism thing coming in the workplace.
Never finding a woman to marry me.
That is.
Not saving my youngest daughter who died at 21.
Not always being honest with myself.
Being a distracted, self-centered spouse.
Struggling to find peace.
Not practicing humility.
My bankruptcy.
Investing in the meat business.
Failing a motorcycle test.
Wasting time dating guys who are unfaithful or abusive.
Not having an identity of my own, always someone's mother, someone's wife, second banana. However, to be honest, I'm now on track for leadership in my volunteer work, but I've discovered that I really don't have that ambition.
Failing organic chem.
Not maintaining my home.
Not getting into Yale.
Being in denial about my husband. I wonder what he's up to.
Okay. I wasn't asking you.
Foreign policy direction of the United States of America.
4 in the morning. I'm most anxious about 4 in the morning.
The national debt. Health issues that seem to be getting worse.
Children and their future.
Paying college tuitions.
Everything. Running out of time.
Facing my parents' decline and eventual death.
Staying physically and mentally strong.
Economic disparities throughout the world.
Not having enough money to survive and pay the rent.
Deterioration in public comedy. That's ITY. Because we're doing our best here.
Okay, so,
Black swans.
Black Swan. If I could change careers, jobs, work, I would.
Work in conservation, biology, and or in Africa.
One person wrote not. If I could change careers.
It would not. I would not change careers, I think is what they're trying to get at.
No, I think that would not work. It's ambiguous.
Work more outdoors.
Work in conservation, biology, or in Africa.
I think I said right.
I'm not listening to what you say. I tell my patients that the whole
Can we laugh and laugh?
Work more outdoors.
Wait, what is that? I'm not listening to him. See what the kind of knucklehead I'm doing?
Be a physician.
Mine is thinking about things right now. Go on, Mark.
Go into business. Do just what I'm doing. Teach. Be an author. Be a successful professional writer. Be an artist. Okay, you want to go into the next one? Not have trusted university health services freshman year, gotten external medical care, and taken a leave of absence to recover. Have discovered my celiac 15 years ago and started a gluten-free diet then. Be a less fearful person. Exercise more.
Which one are we on now?
Insular.
Which one are we on?
We're on if I could change one thing in my life.
Okay. Have a life.
Yeah.
Have a life? Maybe you meant life. Partner.
No, a live part.
Really. Experimentation is healthy.
Taking a different path out of high school.
I'd be more loving and understanding of my husband. Or live in California full time. One of those.
I would be taller.
I would have given more attention to my wife. I would be nicer.
Be financially secure.
I would have a different metabolism that would make it easier to maintain a weight at which I'm more comfortable socially, professionally, and sexually.
Not having married a borderline narcissist.
Who wrote that?
Have sex like a porn star.
I just saw it. I would have written more. I would have not got cancer. I would have had more than one child. hypothesis.
Has anyone proven that?
I did that.
Become a neat freak.
Right before I came here, I did that.
Gone
I
to
would-
Stanford.
I would keep the inheritance somehow. All right.
In the country in the past 5 years?
Obama's apparent reversal on Israel-Palestine policy.
A lot of people said the re-election of Obama.
The gerrymandering of congressional districts that has led to extremism in Congress seems reasonable compromise as capitulation. I agree with that, whatever that is.
Being led by a self-centered, clueless professional politician who was advised by big money. Who was that? There you go.
We have become a nation that the world no longer looks up to, and our credit rating is no longer the highest.
The clarity of the evidence about climate change.
Domestic terrorism,
Emergence of the Tea Party movement.
the Great Recession, Romney being defeated, gay marriage, Obama, Hillary Clinton, and gay marriage.
What do you think this is? The destructive impact of electing a socialist demagogue as president and the self-preservative effect of his policies. Is that angry? Is that sort of an angry?
And the right response, shale gas.
Okay. There's a shale station right down the street. You know what they mean? Fracking. Oh, fracking. We can't say that in this.
No fracking away.
The recession.
All right. Most important thing that happened to people, individuals, uninteresting individuals in the past 5 years.
Marriage of 2 of my children.
Recently lost 90 pounds. Became a Kansas City Barbecue Society certified barbecue judge. That shouldn't go hand in hand, should it? Decided to pursue a second medical specialty certification and decided to compete in barbecue competition.
Getting remarried. Keeping job.
I came to understand my strengths and weaknesses and accept those of others.
Attending an incredible scientific conference, sitting with the conference organizers' band and hiking the Alps, all in Switzerland.
Getting divorced, but important is not quite the right word. It was devastating for me, but it was also quite banal and trite.
I brought my entire family on a trip to Nepal to work on short-term Christian missions this last August.
Death of my dog.
Getting 3 kids into and out of college.
Death of my mother.
Birth of my first grandchild.
Ended an affair.
Wasn't that a book, The End of an Affair?
I think that was called Death of My Dog.
Adopting our 2 children. Okay. The biggest... Have you had it on? Oh, no, I want to skip that one. What's the one question we should have asked but didn't ask? And that was... I mean, this is a comprehensive survey. What do you think happens to you after death?
Lots of stuff.
Are you creatively fulfilled? How many joint replacements have you had? Who did you want to have sex with at college, and did you? Like, that's really going to go in, right? We could do some sort of a dating service.
Here's one that says, good job. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
That might be the right one to end on.